right, here we are at Red Lake. We couldn't fly out last night because something about a tornado touching down. I think the pilot was a sissy pants, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Kevin pissed off the pilot and now he's getting the external seat. Not good.
What's the main thing that people get from being here after a trip when they come back?
Well, the two things that we offer and what most people come back satisfied with is the solitude. You know, fewer than 700 paddlers a year are paddling in the park. Makes it a unique experience where you're not going to see too many people. So the solitude aspect of it and world-class fishing. Great fishing for walleye, lake trout, northern pike. It's world-class fishing. You're not going to see many people and have a good time.
Kevin, you're going to be fulfilling the role of plane steward, okay? So keep the cocktails coming and we'll be good to go.
We're about to fly off into the wilderness. Well, the plane just took off, left us on Artery Lake, and we had a snack, and we're just going to head out. Everybody is really pumped to be here. It's not very nice weather, but we don't really care. It's taken us three days really to get here, and then flown in and finally in the park. And we got a couple weeks to explore it. Looking forward to it. It's nice to be out. It really is. Wilderness. What's going on, Ann?
Well, Andy convinced me to hang my maps out. He's very kind. He even got a dry rope to hang my maps out. And now it's piss and rain that the hardest done it's been doing all week. So, well, we'll survive because we have the GPS. And that's a good thing. There we go, we have the GPS. So that's the way it is, but there's a blue sky behind all this rain, so we're waiting for that. We thought it would hit a little sooner than now. There you have it.
They can't get any wetter.
No, they cannot get any wetter.
Wow, that's the most brilliant rainbow I've ever seen.
And it's like so close, eh?
Yeah,
right at the end of our tent.
It is.
Oh, and it's moving now. Look, it's moving.
So that was an amazing experience. I don't know if I caught it on film, but hopefully I did. It was a double rainbow that came over the campsite. It had been raining for a couple of days, so it was nice to see the sun, and boom, it just hit the campsite. It just arced right over. And I'm running around trying to get video and photo of it, and there was a point when I really didn't want to. I just wanted to experience it. To experience something like that, it's just very magical. Places like this, Woodland Caribou, and other places really in the far north, they're just amazing. You got to experience it. You really do.
Double rainbow all the way. Wow.
What was that, Andy?
Just wait a minute and you'll see the words Woodland Caribou Provincial Park burst into flames just like on a Gunsmoke TV show. Oh! Oh!
So what are you doing, Andy?
Well, out of respect and reverence for these ancient and spiritual sites, the tradition amongst the First Nations was to leave an offering of tobacco or something valuable, and so we brought some tobacco to leave here also, out of respect for their culture and this exceptionally significant and special site.
So, Andy, can you tell everybody how much water we actually have in these creeks?
A lot. There's been lots of rain over the last 3 weeks up in the Red Lake area, and apparently some of it fell around here, and consequently this is the shallow section as marked on the map. So when we got here, there's water running everywhere, so it's pretty high, and we're clipping along at a nice pace without having to bust a gut or get too bent out of shape. So kind of convenient.
So what happened on the portage, Bill? You're on your own. We left you, and
Yes, you all left. I was walking back, and walking down the trail towards me was a black bear. And he saw me, put his head up. I yelled a few times, 3 times I guess, and he ran, thank God. And ran about 100 yards, stopped. I thought, oh, darn. And turned around, looked at me, and I yelled again, and he kept running. I was a happy camper. Yep. Nice portage trail though. Gorgeous moss, sphagnum moss everywhere. Beautiful pine needle trail. Slightly uphill at the beginning, carrying the canoe, and then deep downhill at the back. And perfect. Gorgeous trail.
so where are we, Andy?
We are on Simone Lake in Woodland Caribou Provincial Park, and we're just finished a long morning paddle, and we're head into some smaller lakes and portages, so it'll be nice to get up and down and stretch the legs. And
Did we find that portage?
finally we found the portage. We had to look a little bit. See, so look for these blazes on the trees as you're going across the trail both ways, and they'll be at the entrances from the water also. So if you don't see a blaze, you probably haven't found the portage yet. Finally heading towards Dunston Lake, which has apparently several campsites on it, and it's about 9 or so kilometers away, but it'll be a good day if we can get there.
And could you have give me your version of what happened back on the other portage with Ann and Bill?
Oh, Ann saved everything. It was like there was a canoe, and then the water, and then wobbling, and then water coming in the canoe, and then Ann picked the whole thing up in her arms and just drained the water out and gently set it back. But she got her knickers wet in the process.
Can you tell everybody why I didn't film it?
Because you didn't want to die. Yeah, that was a good move, Kevin. Should we go over and help, or should we film this? We helped. Good job, Kevin. We came around the corner, and there was a turkey vulture sitting up on the rock, so we were, getting pretty close and looking at it, and then at the last minute he flew off. But then what came into view was a dead carcass, what looks like a moose just on the shore there. And there was bald eagles, immature bald eagles, and probably almost a dozen turkey vultures, all taking turns cleaning up that carcass. So Nature does have its waste disposal systems, I guess.
Okay. So what's going on, Andy?
Well, we were running from a rabid bear. So we came over a small portage up over a ridge. When we landed though, Kevin saw a bear in a tree, and then the tree started to fall and the bear came scrambling down, and Kevin, I think he was in the middle of hanging a leak and his pants fell down. He started running with his trousers around his ankles. It was mass hysteria, pandemonium, but I think the bear went away, and so now we're coming up this creek. There's been lots of rain, so the creek's high, and I was just spying to see if I could see Bill and Ann coming, and they are now, so the bear didn't get them. We're all good to go that way.
You never know what's going to happen on a canoe trip. What we thought was going to be easy today, it's not. We've been going on for probably from 9 in the morning, now it's about 1, and we've only made about 4 kilometers.
So what's up, Andy?
Well, water's really high, and so high that it's washed out the bottom end of the portage to make it really not reachable. The water's flushing through so fast it would be dangerous to take out on that side of the river. So we came over to this side of the river, and we've flagged a bushwhack trail to get around this drop in the river. So our friend Mr. Flagging Tape has come through for us. And fortunately it's been not too bad, not too many deadfalls to clear out of the way. And it's really pretty. When you get up onto the top of the hill, you can see down into the water below. You can see the next falls upstream. So a little bit of extra work, but a nice diversion if you roll with the punches.
Where are we headed?
Just up a little portage. So you have to watch, or your feet might get wet in some of the, goopy places. So be careful where you step.
What did you say?
I said you caught me in my curlers. Oh, I'm doing the dishes. I got my fuzzy slippers on.
How was your day today, Mr. Baxter?
You never take me anywhere anymore. So we had a great day. Kevin caught a lake trout for lunch, and we feasted on that, and it was delicious. Bill caught one for supper. I caught a pike, and Ann cleaned them up. Gotta love that Ann.
I caught a lake trout for lunch. What about that? Just put my line in the water, got a fish. Haggard Lake. I think there's fish in Haggard Lake. Mr. Baxter, what's going on at this point?
You are in the process of catching me dinner. I want a walleye.
Mr. Baxter's all whiny because he didn't catch a walleye to eat. He doesn't want a lake trout. Lake trout is as good as walleye. I'll have it all myself then.
There's a rumbly in my tumbly for walleye.
This took Andy and I, 20 minutes? Well, Andy's caught another walleye.
It's a pike.
Is it a pike?
Let's just say, Andy, I caught your walleye. Caught your walleye.
I want walleye.
That's a good dinner for all 4 of us. We're starving, actually. It was a long day.
We eat again.
Andy, can you explain high grading gorp and why it's unethical?
Well, gorp is a mixture of items to give you a variety of tastes and snacks and energy and nutrition. And so if you use the premeditated snacking approach where you target certain items. It's kind of like fishing out a lake. And next time you go to fish in the lake, you know, there's nothing there for you. Nothing of the bonus type or extra snacky type. So whenever I see Mr. Cowan going in, usually his hand takes a couple of different courses until it finds the yummy parts that he's targeting. So.
I do not. This is the show the ginger cookies that everybody's been high grading.
Oh, can you see in there?
That's good stuff. You make really good dirt, by the way.
So I've tried some little ginger cookies in there this time, and there's some crispy crunch squares, and hey, look at that!
That's called high grading right there. Oh look,
clodhopper. Oh, look at he's at it again. Stop.
That's good work.
Yeah. So
you can have some peanuts and raisins if you want.
You're cut off.
I just realized that it is the summer solstice. We're sitting here on a rock in the middle of Woodland Caribou Park, and the sun's still up, and it's 10:45 Thunder Bay time, and it's amazing. And so solstice is a really big deal because it is the longest day of the year. So we're trying to remember what pagan rituals go with this type of celebration. We're going to have to put our thinking hats on and figure it out.
You ain't seen nothing yet, Ed.
Well,
should we
the
continue with the ritual? You better turn that off.
Andy has supposedly a method to see if the wood is wet or dry that we're sawing right here. So we're going to show it to you right now.
I got one. There you go.
Okay, so I just smell it.
No, you actually.
I like it.
No, you just press it to your lips and feel the moisture content. Against your lips.
All right. All right, the next one. They're both wet.
Now that you kissed them. Here, let's try a couple other samples.
All right. That's wet. That's dry.
You got it. Wet, dry.
Woo!
My hero.
Oh, where do I go? Well, we're going upstream again. We're going up Beamish Creek. Water's still in flood. It's beautiful out here, though. I always thought that Woodland Caribou was just flat, boreal forest, and nope, it's not flat. There's a drop after drop in every creek we go to. Look at this. That is amazing.
What was that you said, Andy?
I don't know if it was, or if it's the psychology of being in a forest fire area, but I was getting hot with my hat on, so I took it off, and I feel better now. Crazy, man.
This whole area was burned, eh?
Yeah.
Any caribou yet?
No. I was just thinking, though, it would have been pretty crazy to be here while this was burning. Wonder what that would be like.
I had that song Burning Down the House in my head this morning.
Yeah.
Here we are. What night is this? Night 7?
Oh, my drink. Thank you. Oh, speaking of drinks, what do we have? We have, this is what we took for our refreshments for the trip. We have rum. We have 2 things of vodka, which actually hasn't even been opened yet. That's not good. Really, really good Irish whiskey, peated whiskey. That is pretty much almost gone. There's a little bit left. And then we have Zambuca, which is almost gone. We're talking today in the canoe, and we're talking about Woodland Caribou versus Wabakimi. And we actually thought that maybe Wabakimi was similar to Woodland Caribou, but we've now decided that it's not. So Andy, how is Woodland Caribou different than Wabakimi, you think?
Well, it's a bit more pure jack pine and black spruce forest here. You know, there's pockets of birch, but over in Wabakimi you get a bit more different tree varieties, and the forest stands are more mixed, I think, than they are here, where they're more pure, you know, jack pine or black spruce or birch, you know.
How's this area? We're in the south, what are we, the south east part now?
Yeah.
How's that different than up to Artery Lake and the Blood Vein River?
So, well, bigger lakes in the northern part of Woodland Caribou, and connected by river systems, whereas in the south it's more a real mishmash of lakes, mostly with smaller drainage systems that are connecting them in all sorts of hodgepodge patterns. Whereas up north you get the bigger lakes, bigger rivers, and they're generally you know, draining from east to west.
Woodland Caribou. Made you look. We have yet to see a Woodland Caribou. Hey, and everybody looking! They're like ghosts here. We've seen poop and tracks, but no caribou. And speaking of poop though, we also saw some wolf poop today that was record size.
We're phoning Guinness.
Holy jumping.
There was a wolf, you know, I think, you know, and I think Bill summed it up the best when he said, well, that explains why they howl. This thing was huge.
There was hair, with moose hair, and I think there was even a moose leg coming out of it. I don't know. It was,
yeah.
How bad.
I think I saw a piece of Jimmy Hoffa in there. Chunk of hide.
What is it, Bill?
One big scat from a wolf that had one heck of a feast, including, I'm not sure it's caribou or moose, but it looks like something like that. That's got to be, wow, 18 inches to 20 inches plus a 8-inch. I would like to see that wolf.
So wolves are in the park as well, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, and we saw...
No, there is a Woodland Caribou. Dog.
As your grandma would say, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Alright, so the last statement is, if you had a choice between Wabakimi and Woodland Caribou, I'm not even sure why I'm asking this because it doesn't really matter, I'd go to both. But, which one would you choose?
Whichever one my wife wants to go to. I don't know, I think fire plays a more major role here in Woodland Caribou than in Wabakimi. And like you said, they both have fires. But...
Yeah, except you're freaking me out the whole time. Today, it's really hot today, so he goes, I smell smoke, because I'm afraid of bears, and I'm afraid of bad weather, and I'm afraid of burning to death in a forest fire. And who knew? And so sure enough, every time we come around a bend, I smell smoke, Kevin.
I smell it again.
So that many bald eagles we've seen in total, probably over 20, more than 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
He started calling them rats of the sky. They're everywhere.
Oh, the nest, we saw a bald eagle nest. We
Yeah.
just camped, you know, almost in view of this nest last night. That was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. I should see the chick in the chick was pretty old too. It was about time to leave the nest.
Oh, you're on the chicks again.
Well, want another?
I think it's time.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers. So, what is that, Andy?
It's a either a portage marker or some kind of voodoo.
It's bizarre. Whoever makes the best meal gets to have a cigar.
Yes! I won!
How was that?
That was easy. Let's go do it again. It's like Africa hot.
You had at least a bonnet to put on your head, like a coon. Keep the
I
shade.
know. My umbrella. My shade umbrella. Ooh.
I don't know if you can you see this? Okay, this is Andy's chair, he carried it. And here's the thing, we've been doing this for years, is that if he carries the chair, he sits on it. Kevin doesn't carry a chair, that's too bad for Kevin. But I always thought when he was sitting on his chair that he was breaking wind. Listen. It's our last night and we're supposed to talk about how we liked the trip and how we didn't like the trip, that sort of thing, the goods and bads. Was I upset that I did not see a caribou? Everybody's saying, no, it's okay, we didn't see it. Yeah, I'm very upset that I did not see woodland caribou. I wanted Andy and Bill to dress up as one day, just to surprise me.
The fact that you rarely ever see those critters is one thing, but when you catch even a glimpse of their tracks or whatever, you know, it's cool to be sharing the same footprint as them, even on a temporary basis. So,
If you saw them every day, they wouldn't be as special. We didn't get the opportunity to see them this trip. I'm sure they saw us.
I think the biggest thing is we actually spent a good amount of time here, good quality time. It's a 10-day trip, but I think right now our brains are at like day 20. It doesn't really matter how many days we're out here at this point. Once we reach the day 5 or day 4, we just go on for like a couple months. Not really, well, maybe a couple months. People wonder where we are, but
The interesting thing about a 10-day trip is that on day 6 you start working backwards from the end, and so the last 4 days tend to be much more orchestrated than the first 6, and so yeah, I'm sad to go. I could go for another 4 days easy.
one of my favorite parts of the park here, or at least this trip, was not bathing once and sharing a tent with Kevin. And finally, I think, you know, I could go to sleep and not smell Kevin. That was one of the really nice parts of the trip. So yeah, my tent partner complained about me not bathing last trip. This trip, you know, not a word. In fact, probably got more snuggles out of it. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. There's not a lot of change. When I was here last time, we didn't see. We saw 2 other parties. In this trip this time, we saw 2 other parties the entire trip. And even where there are lakes with lodges and motorboat users, last trip I think we saw them once, and this trip maybe a couple of times. So you know, it's I think I'd noticed some areas that have been burnt that weren't burnt before, and those areas that were burnt before have now grown up into obviously 20 odd years later, there's a forest that has risen out of the ashes, so that's kind of cool.
I love northwestern Ontario, to be quite honest. I love paddling in northwestern Ontario more than any other part of the province because there's so much water and little portaging. The average portage here is like 100 meters. There's lots of them. Like we do a 60, a 50, a 40, 100, 140. And I think today we did eight portages, but there wasn't one over 140 meters today. So you can't really complain about that.
The lakes here are all so interconnected that it's easy to paddle and make up a route, change a route. You don't have to do exactly what you set out to do. You can tweak it and adjust, and that's really kind of nice to have that flexibility.
You've gone on trips before, like to Quetico or to any other park, and you want to step it up a little bit, not a huge notch, but step it up a little bit, go to Woodland Caribou. You won't see anybody, really.
My women friends are way more ribald than the three of you. and I've been skinny dipping since I was 2, and so it's great to have a gang to skinny dip with.
The native stuff was kind of neat, seeing all the native paintings, because here we are with our Kevlar canoes and our nylon packs. We just realized that actually, you know, we weren't at all the first to travel in these areas. People lived here and thrived here. So it was kind of nice to see that part of the culture here and the history and be part of it. I think they were more close with nature at that time, to be quite honest, because we're only here for 10 days and we've reconnected. You imagine living here, you would be connected for sure, right? I think we all need that, actually. We all need to get out of civilization for a while and reconnect. Who was that?
Brought out a few beers here for you on Harlan's orders, so have at her.
Woo! What do you think of that, guys?
That's perfect.
My hero, Tim.
There you go.
Cheers, Steve. Good help. That Mr. Callan, when I find him, he's gonna be in trouble.